Power sharing. Introduction to the chapter. What is the definition of power sharing? Power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. A democratic rule involves sharing power with those affected by its exercise and who have to live with its effects. All communities, social groups get their say in the governance. People have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. A legitimate government is one where citizens acquire a stake in the system through participation. Now we'll see an example of power sharing in the countries Belgium and Sri Lanka. Let's begin with the country Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe with a population of little over 1 crore. It has borders with France, the Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. Of the country's total population, 59% lives in the Flemish region and speaks Dutch language, whereas another 40% people live in the Wallonia region and speak French. Remaining 1% of the Belgians speak German. In the capital city Brussels, 80% people speak French while 20% are Dutch speaking. The minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. The Dutch speaking people constituted a majority in the country but a minority in the capital city. Here we can see a map showing the communities and regions of Belgium. In the Flemish region, 59% are Dutch speaking. In the capital city Brussels, the Dutch are a minority, the capital, but they constituted a majority in the country. In the Wallonia region, 40% people speak French, which are rich and popular people, powerful people, and 1% speak German. Next comes the country Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island nation just a few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. It has a population of about 2 crore. Like other nations in the South Asia region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. The major social groups are the Sinhala speakers, which constitute 74%, and the Tamil speakers, which constitute 18%. Among the Tamils, there are two subgroups. Tamil natives of the country are called Sri Lankan Tamils. They constitute 13%. The rest, whose forefathers came from India's plantation workers during colonial period, are known as Indian Tamils. Most of the Sinhala speaking people are Buddhist, while most of the Tamils are Hindus or Muslims. There are about 7% Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhala. Here we can see a map showing the ethnic communities of Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan Tamils are both Hindus and Muslims. The Sinhalese are 74% of the Sinhalese are Buddhist. Both the Sinhalese and Tamil are 7% Christians. Muslims constitute only 1%. The Indian Tamils are both Hindus and Muslims. The Tamils constitute 18% of the population in Sri Lanka. Belgium and Sri Lanka showcase a different approach to power sharing. The nature of various conflicts in the countries, which rose out of language diversity and how they dealt with it. While Sri Lanka applied majoritarianism, Belgium used accommodation. The Sri Lankan Tamils began an upheaval with the objectives of acknowledging Tamil as an official language, social and political equality and regional sovereignty. In contrast to the above, Belgium took up the approach of accommodation as positive steps to resolve their differences. Belgium ensures stability through its policy of accommodation, whereas in Sri Lanka, majoritarianism continues to be a threat to the unity and growth of the country. Now we'll discuss power sharing in India. As we all know that India is a democratic country and people of India elect their representative through direct franchise. After that, people's representatives elect the government to make or amend rules and regulations and to carry out day-to-day functioning of governance. One basic principle of democracy is that people are the source of all the political power. In a democracy, people rule themselves through institutions of self-governance. In a good democratic government, due respect is given to diverse groups and views that exist in a society. Everyone has a voice in the shaping of public policies. Therefore, it follows that in a democracy, political forms of power sharing should be distributed among as many citizens as possible. Now let's see the need of power sharing in India. Here 4 reasons are stated for the need of power sharing in India. Number 1. Power sharing helps in reducing the conflict between various social groups. Hence, power sharing is necessary for maintaining social harmony and peace. Power sharing helps in avoiding the tyranny of majority. The tyranny of majority not only destroys the minority social groups but also the majority social group. Number 3. People's voice forms the basis of a democratic government. Hence, power sharing is essential to respect the spirit of democracy. Number 4. Avoiding conflict in society and preventing majority tyranny are considered as prudential reasons for power sharing. Maintaining the spirit of democracy is considered as the moral forms of power sharing. Now we can see the different forms of power sharing. Let us discuss these in detail. Power sharing in different organs of government. Power is shared among different organs of government such as legislature, executive and judiciary. This type of distribution can be called the horizontal distribution of power. This type of power sharing allows different organs of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers. Such a separation ensures that unlimited power is not vested in any organ of the government. This ensures a balance of power among various institutions. The executive enjoys official power but is answerable to the legislature. The legislature has the right to make or amend laws but is answerable to the people, whereas the judiciary is independent and ensures that the law of the land is obeyed by the legislature and the executive. Now we'll discuss power sharing at different levels. Power can be shared among governments at different levels. Usually, a central government is responsible for the entire nation and state governments are responsible for different units of the federation. There is a clear-cut demarcation on subjects which come under the union government and those which come under the state government. However, there are some subjects which come under the concurrent list. That means both state and central governments exercise power on such subjects. Now we'll see power sharing among social groups. Power may also be shared among different social groups. In a diverse country like India, there are various social, linguistic and caste groups and power is shared among each group. For example, people from the minority communities, other backward classes and scheduled caste and scheduled tribe are given reservations so that there could be adequate representation for them in the government machinery. Now we'll see the power sharing among various pressure groups. Power sharing among various political parties is more apparent for most of the people. Usually, the largest political party or the largest political coalition becomes the ruling party. The other parties form the opposition. While the opposition is not in power, it is responsible for seeing to it that the ruling party functions as per the wishes of the people. Heads of various committees comes from various political parties, which is another way of sharing power among different political parties. Pressure groups also get their share in power. For example, the trade unions, Association Students Union, etc. The trade unions get some power by certain mechanisms. Representatives of these associations become part of many decision-making bodies and thus enjoy their share of power. Let us view the chapter Power Sharing. We took example of countries like Belgium and Sri Lanka. Here we can see the communities and regions of Belgium, and here we can see the ethnic communities of Sri Lanka. The minority French-speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. The Dutch-speaking people constituted a majority in the country but minority in the capital Brussels of Belgium. Tamil natives of the country are called Sri Lankan Tamils, which constitute 13% of the population. The rest, whose forefathers came from India's plantation workers during colonial period, are called Indian Tamils. Power sharing in India. In a good democratic government, due respect is given to diverse groups and views that exist in the society. Everyone has a voice in the shaping of public policies. And the need of power sharing, it helps in avoiding the tyranny of majority. The tyranny of majority not only destroys the minority social groups but also the majority social group. Power sharing is necessary for maintaining social harmony and peace in the country. What are the various forms of power sharing? Among social groups at different levels in different organs of government, among various pressure groups.